Oakland Ben.
Here.
Denton Nunn. Ellicott Malcolm. Engineering Graham.
Here.
Engineering Julia. First year Menor. Spring Admit Shub.
Here.
Reef Residential Danny. Heritage Alvaro.
Here.
Info Sci Yasmin. Info Sci Sarah. North Hill Kelvin.
Here.
Off-campus neighboring Nick.
Here.
Off-campus neighboring Zahn. Off-campus commuter Sid. Off-campus commuter Abel. Off-campus commuter Ismail. Public policy Linnell.
Here.
South Campus Commons Pragya.
Here.
South Campus Commons Chris.
Here.
South Hill Peyton.
Here.
Transfer Claire.
Here.
Undergraduate Studies Kiara.
Here.
Wonderful. With quorum, I now call the 21st meeting of 2024-2025 legislative session to order, and we can go ahead and do the finance report.
It's the same numbers as last.
Okay.
Did you actually show the numbers?
They're on.
No, I know.
Wait, scroll all the way down now, so it's like go all the way down.
I'm sorry.
It's my first day
on the job.
It's okay.
Just testing.
Thank you.
Nice, we did. Let me see if there's any.
Let's get Sga.
Do you know if Patty, like, is it more like 10 minutes, or is it more like 3 minutes?
Her meeting finished at 6:15, so I'm gonna guess that it'll take her at least 15 minutes to get here, so.
Okay. Do we wanna go ahead and do some of the cabinet updates then?
Yeah.
Okay, are you guys unanimous consent okay with reordering that business?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome, so we'll just do that until she gets here. Does academic affairs wanna start?
Before you.
Sure, I mean, nothing that new from us this week. We're currently working on our presentation for Cab to Cab, where we're gonna talk about our OER survey. We have a couple upcoming meetings, Dean Student Advisory Board and Educational Affairs Committee. Those dates are still waiting to come to us. And then please fill out the survey if you haven't already. I'll drop it in the general chat right after. That's it.
Thank you. And then communications.
Really nothing new from last time. Thank you if you gave a website complaint. Kiara is working on them, and it should be finished soon. So pumped about that. If you have Ralph this week, or if you have Ralph next week, send your photos in a brief blurb to both me and Menor by 5 p.m. on Tuesday.
Like next Tuesday?
Today's Wednesday. So yes, yeah.
Well, I didn't know if I was late because I already sent it to her,
Yeah, perfect.
but I didn't send the blurb, so.
Whatever.
Alrighty, thank you, Lewis. We'll move on to research and tech. What about DEI?
What is she going
So we also don't really have any new information other than the fact that we are still kind of struggling with reaching out to different student affinity groups. We're hoping to branch out to their general body meetings and like have a 15-minute interview after. If you guys know anyone in any of these groups, please try to tell them to look at their email if possible. As for the current projects, I have reached out to Dr. Oliveria and Dr. Chen, and they're going to support us within the Prejudice and Prevention Interactive Survey, and they're also going to give us some resources. And I'm also hoping to have a meeting with Yvette Jones, who's the Director of Student Affairs DEI, this Friday, to talk about student experiences, cultural competency within the university, resources, and others. And we hope to have these projects completed by April 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. And then next up, health and wellness.
Sorry, all right, so the important things here is that we're having our meeting with Dr. Joshi and Chief Mitchell tomorrow at 9 a.m. We already have certain legislators that I've already shared the Zoom link with.
who will be attending, but for the most part, I think Eliza and Varun are going to be leading the meeting. And the meeting is primarily just focusing on suicide reporting initiatives. Next up, the most important thing is that Dr. Kelly, who did come to committee meeting before spring break, he would like to talk to health and wellness or any legislator in general about just student life on campus and student well-being. So he's going to be coming to the SJ office, tentatively speaking April 15th at 11:30 a.m. if anybody is willing to make it. That's it.
I have a question, sorry.
I just have one question. I think I mentioned to someone else that and just to be sure, tomorrow morning's meeting is on Zoom, right?
Yes.
I think I should be able to join it. Would it be possible to send me over the Zoom link?
I'll get to it.
Okay, thank you, Simon.
Thank you. Are we ready? Awesome. If you want to introduce her. And then we're gonna circle back up to our guest speaker, Dr. Patty Perillo, if you want to give a nice warm round of applause.
Hello, SGA. It is good to be in your company. I didn't get a chance to get to the press conference today for a new basketball coach. Anybody get there? Well, it's online. It's very exciting. What's exciting for me is that our new basketball coach, I gotta stop this because it's still playing. There he goes. This new basketball coach is somebody that I worked with when I was at my former institution. And I know him well. And, oh, sorry. Let's talk about boring press conferences, not this one. I know him well, and I think he's just a wonderful fit for this institution because he's a man of real value. He lives his values, and so I love that. I see many familiar faces around this room, and I see some new ones. And so I don't want to make any assumptions about what you know about me and the work that I do in student affairs with a great team. But I want you to know that I have been working in student affairs, the work of student affairs, for about 35 years. I got my PhD here at the University of Maryland, so I'm a Terp alum. And the work that I got my degree in is really related to students and student learning. There's number 1, number 2, number 3 graduate program in the country is right here in the College of Education. And it's a degree in higher education and student affairs. And are you interested in studying that yet? Because it's all about the things that you are living as students. And so our scholarship, Joe Clezo, is someone who's graduated from one of those programs too. The work of student affairs is really about 2 large kind of pools of scholarship, where for over 100 years we've studied college students. And we study how it is that we optimize human development. Because what we know is that between the ages of 18 and 25, whether you go to college or not, it's the most robust developmental passage in our lives. And so the work of student affairs is to think about what are the ways that we are maximizing that human development. You are developing emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, relationally, psychosocially. You know all the ways that you're developing. And our work in student affairs is to do all that we can to maximize it. The second kind of large berth of scholarship is around learning environments. And we learned how to create the conditions for students to thrive. How do you create inclusive environments where students thrive? So here at the University of Maryland, there are 16 departments and about 4,000 staff and students that work in the division. It's the largest division here on campus, and our work is really about you. You are the central focus of our work. Our mission is that every student thrives. And what we know is that none of us are thriving all the time, but we want to make sure that we do all that we can to make sure that you thrive. Some of you have heard me say this before, and part of why I keep repeating is that I'm a first-generation college student myself. Anybody else here first gen? Yep, we're everywhere. We're everywhere. So I'm one of 8 children. Child number 5, I often say the favorite. My father was the youngest of 15, I have 81st cousins, and I'm the first in my family to go to college. And the reason I stayed in the college environment is because education changed me. It transformed me. And I knew it was a privilege. And so I wanted to work on college campuses to continue to remind young people that education is a privilege. Many of my friends thought it was a right because their parents went, and I knew it was a privilege. What I know now is that about 40% of people in the United States go to college. They don't necessarily graduate, but 40% go to college. 7% in the world, less than 1% go to a Research 1 intensive institution like the University of Maryland. So you are a part of the less than 1%. You're the best of the best and the brightest of the brightest this world has to offer. And our work in student affairs is to do everything we can to help you come to know your gifts and your talents and maximize those capacities because the world needs your gifts. So we do that in a variety of ways. So let me just tell you a little bit about the departments. I won't get all 16 of them, but we've got a team that looks at the health and well-being of the students. So in student affairs, I heard someone mention Dr. Chait Joshi. In student affairs, it's the health center, it's the counseling center, it's RecWell and accessibility and disability services. And that team is constantly looking at the health and well-being of our students, undergrads and grads. We have a team that's called Team Engagement. They're looking at ways that we continue to engage students. So it's STEM Student Union, it's Career Services, it's our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion work, and it's Fraternity and Sorority Life. We have a team that's looking at the living learning environment, resident life, residential facilities, conference and visitor services, and there's one more. Dining, it's dining as well, so dining. And then we have a team that's looking at belonging and connection. It's the Dean of Students Office, it's the Essential Needs Services team, which includes First Gen, it's our Office of Student Conduct, as well as Parent-Family Engagement. And then there are a few others. So if you think about all those departments, you know that you are interacting with them in all kinds of ways. And our work together is to make sure that you experience as best as possible just a wonderful environment. So this is my work, this is my calling. I'm an educator and I care about working with students. Like I feel it's like really lucky that I get to journey alongside you during this time in your life. But I also know in this moment in time, people are really struggling. And this is not, it's not a political statement, it's just the truth. When we as human beings go through rapid change, when we are living with lots of uncertainty, it creates a level of angst and suffering and pain that's just undeniable. We as human beings are kind of wired for definitive. There are some of us that do better in living with the gray than others. It's not, we're just different, we're just wired differently. But when all of us are living with such enormous uncertainty, it creates lots of struggle. And what I know is that over the last couple of months, I've met many students that have talked about parents who have lost their jobs, their internships being rescinded, graduating seniors and graduating master's students that are concerned they're now going into a market where there are less jobs and they're now competing with hundreds of thousands of federal employees who have got laid off who have even more experience. So people are struggling. And so our work in student affairs is to do all that we can to create spaces for people to process, to get the support they need, and to focus and pay attention to them. Some of our immediate areas of priority in student affairs. So the 16 departments are constantly working to think about how they are improving things, right? They are. So I'll think about STAMP, for example. STAMP runs the program Turks After Dark. Many of you probably participated in those programs. It started 10 years ago, and the reason it started 10 years ago and called Turks After Dark was because there was a significant increase in alcohol use on college campuses across the country, and we experienced it here on this campus as well. So we wanted to create an opportunity. My mama used to say that boredom is the friend of the devil. If you don't create opportunities for students to come together, then they may go, drink, or they may do whatever. And what I also know, because this is part of my dissertation, and this has been true for 30 years, there are 35% of students on college campuses that do not drink. We often paint the picture that everybody's a partier, and the truth of the matter is that's not true. But what we get concerned about are those who are on the, the end of the continuum that are drinking too much. So Turks After Dark was designed to make sure that we created opportunities for students to engage and socialize and not feel like they had to go somewhere to party. What we've witnessed over the last 10 years is that there's a decrease in alcohol use on college campuses across the country and here on our own campus as well. So STAMP is reimagining Turks After Dark. What we know now is what our former Surgeon General talked about. There's a pandemic of loneliness, and it has enormous impact on people's well-being and health. So STAMP is thinking about how do we reimagine Turks After Dark and focus on this pandemic of loneliness, and we figure out ways to connect students to themselves, to each other, developing social skills. And so all of the departments are doing those things all the time, always thinking about you. Wanting, again, to create the conditions for you to thrive and optimize and maximize your health and well-being. So that happens all the time, but I also know that there are some real high priorities for us as well. Since I started working at Maryland 5 years ago in this position, I was here for 8 years working in student affairs. I left for several years and then came back as the VP in January of 2020, just in time to lead us through a pandemic. And so I've been here now 5.5 years as the vice president in the division. What I've noticed and learned, because we do research on our own campus, the Counseling Center has a great research team. And the research team is looking at the number of students who are food insecure and housing insecure. And that number continues to increase. And so we just started a year ago an essential needs services team that's focusing on ways that we support students who need food and need shelter. And the number is much higher than most people think. We probably have about 12 to 1,400 students on our campus that at some point in time are food insecure or housing insecure. So it's an area of focus for us in student affairs. We're constantly thinking about what do we do to support those students. Because what you know, Maslow's hierarchy, if you don't have food and you don't have shelter, then the conditions for thriving aren't so great, right? We're also focusing on first-generation college students. I was surprised that when I started, we didn't have any office that was specifically tasked and charged with focusing on first-generation students. Now, I'm not caring about that just because that's my identity. I'm a scholar and I know about the experience of first-generation students. We didn't even know the number of first-gen students on our campus. And so the first step and the first charge that I gave this group was to spend a year looking at our data and better understand how many students on our campus are first gen. And what we learned is about 19.8%, 20%, about 20% of our students, 1 in 5 students are first generation college students. Well, when you're first gen, there's a whole experience that goes along with that, and we've got to find ways to support students who are first generation students. So now we have an office as part of our essential services team that's focusing on first gen students and providing the resources and services that are necessary. We also have a Dean of Students office. One of the things that I did when I was hired, and I'm sharing this with you because it's things that you can think about too, is that I negotiated in my contract when I was hired that I wasn't going to come unless we had a Dean of Students office, that they would give me the resources to create a Dean of Students office. And so we just did that 4 years ago. It's an inaugural office on this campus. It hasn't existed before. Because what I know in large places like this, students will have to go all different places to try to figure things out. What I wanted to be able to say is that if you're struggling academically, socially, financially, I don't care what the struggle is, there is an office you can go to and they're going to help you make connections. And that's the Dean of Students office. And so we're growing that team, and it's a team that works across all of the colleges, with all the assistant and associate deans in the colleges to help make connections around academic needs and academic supports. It's a team that runs and manages the Student Crisis Fund, so if students are having financial difficulties, they refer them there. If it's a student who's struggling because a parent has just lost a job, or a parent is diagnosed with cancer, or they were diagnosed with a health issue, it's a team that supports our students. And so the work that we are doing and really focusing on in the Division of Student Affairs is constantly maximizing the 16 departments and what they're doing, but also focused on those students that have some of the greatest need, and we need to focus on supporting them. So that's a lot, and I know I don't have tons of time. What I want to do is just stop there for now. There are other things that I can share for sure, but I know that Reese asked me to make sure that I save some time for questions that students might have, and I want to be responsive to your questions and the things that you're thinking. And what I would ask is that if you have questions that you share any, because I'd love to get to know you all a little bit more.
Hello, thank you so much for coming. My name
Absolutely.
is Ben,
Hi,
and
Ben.
I represent Oakland Hall.
Okay.
I was just wondering, and I'm sure you've been asked this question a lot, what departments in your division are going to be affected the most in the upcoming years due to the recent budget cuts?
Every department, college in this university is gonna be affected. So, there are two issues at play here. One is, and I'm sure you've heard about it, it's in the news all the time. There are state of Maryland budget cuts. And Moody's, which some of you know what Moody's is, it's a resource that, it's a financial service that talks about financial patterns and trends, just released a report that said, now state of Maryland, don't quote me on this, but this is how I read it, it's not exact, but essentially they said the state of Maryland is a singular state that's struggling financially. And so the state of Maryland, it's not happening with, I'm connected to a lot of my VP counterparts in the Big Ten or in the SEC or the ACC, they're not experiencing it in other states, but for us in the state of Maryland, there's a significant financial impact on our budget in the state. But there's also, looming out there, is the possibility of budget cuts from the federal government. So the long and the short of it is that we want to do research on our campus. We want to work with the federal government to do research on our campus. How many of you work now doing research? Like, we have some of the most brilliant faculty members across the country, brilliant students across the world that are doing research. And we want to do federal research on our campus. But we say to the feds, again, this is Patty Prulo speak, don't quote me on this. Well, you can quote me, but I know. That we essentially say to the feds, like, all of our buildings are state funded and all of our buildings are paid for by students or the state or the tuition, but we want to do research. So in order to do the research, you have to invest in money that will help us update our labs and update the machinery in our labs and update the equipment in our labs. And there's lighting and there's a room space. And so we charge what they call indirect cost. We have been charging about 55%. And let students know about it. And I think it's a really important thing for us to do. Some of you may know that about a year and a half ago, I asked the provost to partner with me on launching a group that was looking at the mental health of students, faculty, and staff, because we know that everybody on this campus is going to be struggling, particularly post-pandemic, and we needed to think about students for sure, but we also think about faculty and staff. They made incredible recommendations, and right out of the gate, the first thing they said is there's lots of things happening on this campus, but they're siloed and separate and disparate. In a large place that happened. So they created this mental health and well-being website. Any of you can go to it. country, or colleges and universities across the country, and what's happening there. To stay focused on our mission and our values. They're our North Star. We want to continue to do this. Or town halls, or drop-in hours, or community spaces, just for spaces for people to come process and talk and be in community. I think that sometimes the best that you can do when things are feeling like they're feeling right now is to invite people to be together in community, because I think there's enormous comfort and there's care that happens in those spaces. I think people walk away feeling like I'm not alone. There's nothing wrong with me. I have a reason to feel this way because there's legitimate reasons to. And there are people around who care and want to provide resources and services for us. The counseling center is doing a lot of outreach, particularly to targeted populations that we've seen happening in other colleges and universities. So there are the things that we are doing now. We're trying to communicate more, particularly with those populations that are most affected. That really includes, right now, our international students, our undocumented and immigrant students. But I know even in the Division of Student Affairs, 10% of our staff in dining are of Haitian descent and are on humanitarian parole. And the government recently said if you're on humanitarian parole, you gotta go back to your home country on April 24th. That affects dining, and let's start with the humanitarian impact, right? There are people that we know and love who have served this campus beautifully. So there are impacts everywhere. I mean, there are impacts everywhere. So I know the president, provost, myself, and my VP colleagues and deans are trying to create these town hall community gatherings to allow people to ask questions, to share ideas, to make recommendations, and we're trying to do as much outreach as possible. I just want you all to know that this is an administration that is paying attention, because like you, we care about this place, this people, and our mission.
I guess a small follow-up to that is kind of from the student's perspective, and I trust that there's a lot of conversations going on, but just from the student's perspective, especially from the student leader perspective, we're trying to get the kind of some sense of like transparency about what these conversations or the preparation is leading to. And I understand it's difficult. You guys are in a very difficult position, and there's a lot of, like the situation's changing basically.
Sure.
So what kind of measures can be taken to achieve that transparency?
So there's a website. So one of the things that we talked about is like, I am in the Division of Student Affairs every 2 weeks doing an email to my colleagues that work in the Division of Student Affairs, and I'm always including something specific about this moment in time. We have an institutional website. I don't know if you can pull it up. Somebody can pull it up. I don't know who's pulling up websites. I think it's on federal government or federal government relations. Maybe it's the Umd Sga government relations website. I think it's what it's called. Office of Government Relations. So it's updates and guidance related to executive orders, and so what we're doing is tracking things that are happening, messages that we're sending out. So there's a centralized portal. There was a letter that went out one time informing people about this. A letter that went out to students too, but I know that, you see one of those things once and you might forget it, or maybe you don't even read it, and I understand that completely. We decided that instead of these constant communications, that creating town halls and opportunities for people to come together was more effective, and a centralized portal for communications is what we decided. And you might say, I disagree, there's a different path, and that's okay, I understand that. But you know this, because you named it, there's this constant tension between what we put in writing that makes you a target versus what you do as a way to continue to stay focused on your mission and your values. And so, we're doing the work. This helps maybe with some transparency, and if you will have recommendations about more that we need to be doing with and for students, I'm all ears, because you are the reason that I'm here. So thanks.
Hi, thanks for coming tonight. I'm Chris, I'm one of the Commons representatives.
Hey, Chris.
And it's a similar vein, but more department focused. So there's been a lot of policies of the new administration that are targeting like how different departments can operate. So like especially in like the DEI realm. So I was just wondering how, student affairs is responding to
Sure.
those.
And how the institution's responding. I think I shared with you that before I came to Maryland, well, I got my doctorate, I left. I was at Virginia Tech, I was the vice president of student affairs at Virginia Tech before coming here. I was there for 7 years. We created 6 cultural centers, an office of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Their board, just last week, their board who was appointed by their current governor, they have a board that's for each Virginia college university has their own board. We, in the Maryland system, have one board of regents for all of our schools. It's different in different places. They just decided to close the office of ODI, to disband all the cultural centers, not to allow for living learning programs that focus on DEI. Like Michigan, you may have just heard about Michigan, did some of those things too. In many ways, we in the state of Maryland are very lucky. We have a governor and an attorney general who has put in public writing, actually what you are doing in terms of the DEI work is following the law. So keep doing the work that you're doing, and we will protect you legally. Now, what I would say as an educator, who's been an educator for 35 years, this work of equity, inclusion, and diversity has always been my work, always. I mean, my mother would say even as a little girl. But take that argument off the table. Let's just say you're a person that doesn't believe in it. If you believe in learning, if you care about becoming smarter, you have to make environments diverse. There is tons of research that talks about cognitive development happens best in more diverse environments. And I'm sharing that with you all, so if you get caught up in this argument with someone that doesn't buy social justice, help them understand, which is hard to do, but help them understand that, okay, take it off the table. Do you care about learning? You know, do you care about smart ideas? Do you care about making people smarter? Some people won't, but there's that, right? So what we are doing at the University of Maryland is what we're doing at the University of Maryland. The president, the provost, I, and other VPs will say, the work of equity, diversity, and inclusion is central to our mission and central to our values. It's been a part of this place. We are a beautifully and hugely diverse campus. Since I started, it happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I forget the year, that we became, we gotta think about the different language, we are a majority student population. I think it's 51% students of color, or 52%, and then the others white. So, like, we are a very, like, that's not going away, of course. And when you create diverse environments, you have an enormous responsibility to make sure they feel inclusive and people feel a sense of belonging. That work will definitely continue. There's no doubt about that. And that could change tonight with some legal mandate, but at this point in time, what we are doing is doing the work that we've done in really important, thoughtful ways to make sure that every person in this community feels valued, supported, and cared for. And they feel included, because that's really important. So thank you.
Thank you for coming in again. My name is Isha. I'm one of the BSOS reps. And something I was wondering is, so obviously Student Affairs has a ton of different resources for students to take advantage of. But something I've seen firsthand is that a lot of students like deliberately choose not to take advantage of them. Like I have a lot of friends who are, for example, first generation students, and they may be struggling throughout their time here at the University of Maryland, and they know those resources exist, but they don't necessarily use them. Is there a way that like we as students and friends can try to really encourage them to take advantage of these resources?
I love that question. I liked all your questions. I like that one because I'm an educator. I liked all your questions. I have 2 different responses. One is that I remember as an undergraduate, a while ago, I decided that I wanted to get a part-time job to be more financially independent because I felt like my parents had spent so much effort and energy. They didn't have the means really to put me through school. And I wanted to get a job. So I kept saying to my friends, like, how do I find out a job? People are like, we'll go to the Career Center. I'm like, what's the Career Center? They're like, it's this place, you know, they're talking about. I was like, they should advertise more. I can't believe the Career Center doesn't let students know that there are things that are happening. And as I was walking to the Career Center, I saw, these are the days of flyers and posters. I saw flyer and poster and flyer and poster and flyer and poster. Like they were doing a ton of advertising. But I never saw it because I wasn't looking for it. So there is something about a developmental readiness, like people don't choose or go to or engage until they're ready to. And there are times that people are ready to, but they're just not comfortable. Or they feel like it's not for them. Or they might not have the social skills. Or they feel like people might make fun of them. There's all kinds of reasons why people might need it, know they need it, but don't go. So what I would say is this. There is 35 plus years of research that talk about the power of peers. What you can do with your fellow students is far greater than anything I could ever do. Because you look like them, you live in the same experience like them, you dress like them, you are one of them. People hear me and they're like, well, of course she does that, she's the VP, she has to say that, or that's her job, or, you know, whatever it is, like, she doesn't really understand. She wants to go at a different time, she doesn't really get it. But for you, that's why student leadership positions are so critical on college campuses. Because what you can do with student leaders, as part of SGA and other constituency groups that you're a part of, is to lead the way. And so if you have a friend that's really struggling, and you think, like sometimes it's about holding their hand and walking them there. You know, or maybe not holding their hand, you decide what you want to do. But sometimes it's about walking them there. Or it's about sitting down and saying, look, I've witnessed this, and I really would encourage you to do it. Or I'm going to go first and I'm going to tell you about it. But what I would say is that each of you has enormous power to contribute to the lives of other students and your peers by noticing, by paying attention, by reaching out and sharing resources. And I honestly think it's your job as student leaders. I don't mean paid job, I just mean, and I actually wanted to start with this. Thank you for leading. I thank you for making the choice to lead and to serve. It's servant leadership, that you're a part of this community and you wanted to step up and say, I want to be a leader. I want to contribute to community, and I think that's really important and really valuable, so thank you for that. And I mean that. And take it a step further by making sure you share everything that you can with people who deserve to know it. So thanks.
Thanks so much for speaking with us. My name is Priya.
Hi, Priya.
So CMNS has a Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and I was wondering if similar roles exist or if there are plans to implement this position at the other colleges as well, especially considering the context of current executive orders.
I'm pretty sure, Priya, I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure in every college and every school, they may have different titles, but there is DEI work that's happening in every college and every school, and we have it in the Division of Student Affairs. So 3 years ago, we appointed a director of DEI. We have Micah, that's part of Student Affairs, you know, we're leading the cultural centers. And so every college, every school, and every division is engaging in the work of, so what happens is VPs and deans have responsibility for the schools, colleges, and divisions. And the ODI is doing the work across the campus. And so it's both of those things that are happening across the institution. Thank you.
Any more questions? All right, well, we can do another round of applause.
Thanks again for the invitation, and I wish those who, I don't know if you're even here, but those who are running any current elections, great success. I'm just grateful that, again, people stepped up and said, I want to serve and I want to lead, and I think that's really wonderful. So, thanks.
Thank you for your time. Alrighty, I think in cabinet updates, we left off at civic engagement, governmental affairs, if you were ready to give your updates.
Yeah, so we've given a couple presentations about the state elections, but I haven't heard back from any other professors for the rest of this week. We're continuing to work on promoting future elections in like November. And then for Gov, we're looking into potential advocacy days in the future. And then we also went over some just like thoughts about Ice Cream Day this year. So if you want, please feel free to go to the CivGov agenda, add your thoughts just for next year's image. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is SMP.
That's me. I forgot about that. So we actually tabled today for the clothesline project, so for those of you who came out today, I really appreciate you. We tabled the 12 to 1 Keldon for clothesline. We have our flag demonstration on April 17th, so if any of you are interested in helping set up, we again are doing flags of sexual assaults that have been reported or sexual misconduct instances that have been reported to those that were unreported. So there are a lot of flags, as you might imagine. Yeah, I'll let you go ahead and jump in there.
I was just gonna ask, will we need a little bit more time than starting at 5:30, because I did order nearly 500 flags.
I mean, the event's not supposed to start until really 6:30, I just started it at 6 and said if people wanna come earlier, that we can do that. We can also send out a sign-up sheet that starts earlier, and so if people are available earlier and would like to help out earlier, great. If not, that's fine, we won't officially start setting up then until like maybe 5:30. I know a number of you are in health and wellness, so I don't wanna like touch too much of your time in there. But if you do have the time and ability to help out, that would be really appreciated. We'll send out a helping schedule for that one too. For care, we officially have the bin in Stork, and so again, that's for blankets and for gift cards, but if you have a gift card, please put it in the UHC basement near care. They have a little box there because we just don't wanna, we wanna make sure that they don't get stolen from Stork, and they have like a locked box there. And again, if you are doing a gift card, please make sure that it's for something related to food. Whether that's like a fast food place or somewhere in Stamp, like whatever it is, just to help survivors out. Other thing, drink test cards, so we have a sign-up sheet with our amazing off-campus neighboring representative, Nick, that will go out in the legislature chat and in the general chat or other officers chats to help out with that. We're basically just gonna be tabling, talking about sexual assault awareness month, and handing out the drink test cards and cup covers. And then harm reduction kits, we're working with HPWS, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in my presidential updates, but yeah, thanks guys.
Thank you. And then next up is student groups. How about student affairs?
Hello guys, long time no see. I know it's been a little long, so I don't have many updates. We had our complaint tabling last week. Went pretty well. Shirley is currently just compiling our complaints, and hopefully we will have a report for you guys sometime soon. And then other than that, we had our meeting with Dr. McShay. I'm not gonna give you guys too many details from that, just because a lot of it was covered by Dr. Perillo, but updates on the Essential Needs Center, the Cultural Center, Turks After Dark programming, and things like that. And then we spent a good amount of time in committee talking about potentially what projects to work on moving forward. So we are, I think we kind of decided we want to look into doing starting some sort of student group room / space audit on campus of what rooms can be available or spaces can be available for student organizations. So that's all for me.
Thank you. We're gonna circle back to research and tech really quick. Research and tech.
Hi everyone, so I completed 2 more surveys and that is gonna be pushed out soon, I believe. For the pronouns like data set things, one part's done, there's gonna be other parts to be done in the future. So once I'm free, I'll work on that as well. If you are submitting a request, please use the format specified in the form. It makes it really simple, so I don't have to go back and ask you to do it again, because that's all the questions I need to ask you anyway. Yeah, thank you.
Next up, sustainability.
Hey guys, same things as last week. Earthfest, April 17th. Shout out to Sean for doing all the communication and the technicalities, so I appreciate it. And then we have our Student Sustainability Summit in person, that's gonna be May 2nd. We're currently recruiting speakers and working on reserving rooms and Stamp. And then we'll have a sign up probably next week for people to register. All right, thanks.
Thank you. And then next up is TNI.
Hello everyone, just a couple reminders. I have my docs by weekly tomorrow, so send me any questions. The audit was yesterday and it went really well, so I'm looking forward to analyzing that data and letting you know what we found. Quick update, so I know a lot of us have talked in the past of how the FM request for work or reporting form is kind of old and not really useful. they have a new platform coming out in the next few days called Shift. And it is basically the same thing that, that PDF that you download, fill out, and email over. It's gonna be much better. I'm planning on setting up a meeting with FM to discuss how we can use that and how we can amplify that to students. The mural project is going to have a Maryland Day reveal at 11 a.m. down near the Greg Heffley statue, so I invite you all to come out. Myself, Reese, and members of Stanford are going to be speaking at that, and you'll get to see a beautiful mural too. And then also I have a Facility Student Advisory Committee subcommittee meeting this week. And just a reminder, we will have committee tomorrow, especially those of you who could not make it to the audit. Please make sure you come tomorrow. We will probably spend some time working on initiatives, and if we have time and the weather's nice enough, we may go out on those routes and grab some more pictures for the report. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our first reading calendar, S250402A, an active funded 2-year contract with Turbo Boat. Would the bill sponsor like to give an introduction? Agriculture.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Do you want to give an introduction to the bill?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So basically, this is an act to fund a 2-year contract with Turbovote. It's kind of been pared down a bit since the last contract was I think it was a 5-year contract, but for this one, we'll be giving Turbovote $4,000 directly from the legislative reserves to cover the costs of the Turbovote contract from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2027. This should cover the 2026 midterms, and yes, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. This week going primary financial affairs and secondary CivGov. Next up is 250402B, an act to support students' research endeavors amidst federal funding cuts. Would the bill sponsor like to give an introduction?
Yes, so this is an act to support students with their research endeavors with recent federal funding cuts. So this was actually inspired by Ben's federal freezes bill, and he is also the co-sponsor of this bill. So this may or may not be inspired by the many summer research program cancellation notifications I got within the last few weeks. So essentially, with NIH, NSF, and FDA funding being cut, opportunities to find funded undergraduate research opportunities have become pretty scarce. And UMD students are hit pretty hard by this since there are 3 NIH campuses in Maryland, and there's also an FDA campus in College Park through which students are able to pursue a year-long paid internship called the Gypsum internship. However, this program has since been canceled. I particularly want to emphasize the NSF, which funds research experiences for undergraduate programs, aka REUs, which are the main routes through which undergrads across the country can conduct original STEM research, while also getting a stipend, room and board, and travel funding. And these programs have been pretty paramount in getting underrepresented groups into STEM graduate programs. So this is pretty devastating to the scientific workforce since clinical and social science research is invalid without diverse researchers. So the goal of this act is to promote alternate resources for students to pursue summer research opportunities. I worked on this very closely with the Office of Undergraduate Research, as well as several science faculty members with labs to compile these and finalize this bill. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Awesome, thank you. This will be in primary communications, secondary academic affairs. Moving on to second reading calendar, S250326A, an act to host SGA Sexual Assault Awareness Month flag demonstration. Is the primary committee able to give the report?
Yeah, 10-0-1.
Awesome. Or is this a motion regarding the committee report?
Okay, yeah, motion to approve the committee report.
Awesome, there's been a motion to approve the committee report. Can I see all those in favor? All of those opposed? Abstaining. Alrighty, that passes. Go.
It's just a capitalism accident.
Just a heads up, Reese and Pranav are okay with this, but I wanted to make an amendment to the budget sheet which is addendum E on my bill.
Okay.
It's not the bill sponsor. So we just found out today that we won't need the table and the chair rentals. Like, I was originally planning to get them from facilities management, but I noticed today that we have been using the table for today's event that Shuli had provided us from Hillel. So I was thinking, since it seems like it's gonna be in the office for a little bit, we could continue to use just equipment that we already have. So I was thinking we could strike that from the budget.
Okay, you can amend it, you have to amend the total amount.
Yes, I will. So motion to amend the total amount on the bill to,
Point of information,
yes,
the line item states tables and chairs, you only reference the table, so
We-
you don't use chairs either, or is it, you're just taking up the table?
we can, I was thinking we could just use chairs that we have as well.
The office chairs?
Yeah, would it be allowable to swipe them, or
I don't know if the office chairs can go outside.
then,
Do you wanna just keep the chairs, I mean, just.
sure,
But you might need to change the invoice then, right?
yes,
They're a line item together, so I'm just wondering how you would split them.
they were provided on the same invoice.
So, but you haven't actually paid the invoice, so.
Yeah, I haven't paid the invoice.
So if we just remove the one table at $750,
Mm-hmm.
you keep the $375, right?
So keep the 375 and keep the 60 for setup,
Yeah, so
which is
for,
the amount that they charged.
in terms of the legislature, what's more important is line 8 in the bill.
Okay,
The spending sheet, it's more important that you talk to the VPFA and COFA about.
I
If
spoke
that
to the
makes sense,
VPFA
yeah.
about that number. So,
So I think probably the easiest thing was just change line 8 into the new amount.
yes,
Wait, point of information, this 1 hour of labor, is this like conditioned on that table? Because if you just order 3 chairs from them, do you still need to pay the 1 hour of labor? It's just like, this is $60 that I feel like, if we figure it out. Yeah, like for 3 chairs.
You have a point?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, if you end up not needing the labor or whatever, like, then
you know,
that, you'll just.
you know what,
end up-
now that I think about it, look, we might as well just
Let's
wait.
let VPFA
I was just gonna say, you'll just end up paying less, like, it doesn't really matter what you guys allocate in this bill, or whatever amount you guys allocate in this bill over what we need, cause that money will just stay in the pool anyway.
Okay, I do have a question for the VPFA.
Yeah.
So where are we with legislative reserves?
Well, were you here at the beginning?
If you look under the finance report and scroll to the last page on the doc, it has the money that we have left.
Because, okay, sorry, I just had a bit of a change of mind, was thinking maybe like, if it's too hard, like, we could maybe just go ahead and use the,
Yeah, like Pranav said, you said it kind of, if it's okay to do more than, and then if we don't need it later, that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you want to
that's
spend
fine, like,
$20,000
this,
in checks.
this
No,
is just,
it's
we just
only
need
available
permission, we need permission from the legislature to be able to spend that much money.
Yeah, like you can take it out later.
But if you don't need it, you don't need permission to not spend money, is what I mean.
okay, so yeah, I'm gonna, okay, just scrap the amendment.
Okay. Do you find the 3 things on the side friendly, Rishi?
Yes,
Okay, awesome.
definitely.
And then there's no more amendments on the bill. Is the body ready for the main question?
Yes.
Okay, Leonard needs another sec to read it.
Point of information, this might be to the bill sponsor, I think during the director's updates for S&P, you mentioned that there were 500 flags, the budget.
Correct.
The budget sheet says 400,
Yeah,
so is it?
no, there were 2 different links for 2 different colors. Like, there
That
was,
adds to 550, not 500. It's 150 plus 400.
okay, yeah, 550, but the amount that we're setting up is, like, the amount that we calculated, like, to set up in terms of the statistics is 470. This is the minimum number of flags I can purchase in these packs.
Okay.
It's just how they were sold. So the total that we're ordering is 550, the amount that we're setting up is 470.
And I do apologize for the extras, it's just, that's how they were sold, I could not do anything about it. And these are good flags.
Is the body ready for the main question?
Yes.
Awesome, and I'll move into a period of voting. Can I see all those in favor? Alrighty, all opposed, all abstaining. Awesome, with a vote of 20-0 to 1, this bill passes. Congratulations to the bill sponsor. Moving right along to S250326B, and act as the 4th annual Earth Fest. Can we get the finance report for this one as well, Brennan?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Now look favorably upon a motion regarding the finance report for the primary committee report.
Motion to approve the
There's been a motion to approve the committee report. Can I just see all of those in favor? All of those opposed? Abstaining? Awesome.
Bit of information. So I noticed that the amount changed from 6,042.98 to 8,278.12. Could you tell us a little bit about why it changed?
Yeah, so initially the budget that we had for the facilities management portion of the purchases that we're making was kind of just like a preliminary based on what it was last year. The updated amount includes like the actual invoice that they gave us, their 10% surcharge and a 3% credit card fee.
Okay, well, when those comes back, we'll fix this. At this time would be the time to sponsor any amendments, Jody.
Can I sponsor my, motion to sponsor my own amendments?
Awesome. Since this is monetary, can I see all those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Abstaining. Awesome. Alrighty, no more amendments. Is the body ready for the main question?
Yes.
Yes.
That's not up to me. They already said yes.
Now we do paired voting. Can I see all those in favor? Okay, all opposed? All abstaining? Awesome, with a vote of 19-0 to 1, this bill passes. Congratulations to the bill sponsor. Moving on to S250326C, an act to permit the Student Sustainability Summit event on the SJ Instagram. Can I get the primary committee report?
We had a riveting discussion between the four of us about this bill, and it passed unanimously.
I'll now look favorably upon the motion regarding the committee report.
Motion to approve the committee report.
There's been a motion to approve the committee report. Can I see all those in favor? All of those opposed? Abstaining? Awesome, committee report passes. There are no amendments on this bill. So is the body ready for the main question?
No.
Well, to be fair, you're supposed to read the second reading calendar bills before you get to GBM.
Yeah, but I don't feel comfortable voting on something like that. No one else said yes also.
They all said yes.
Just read it.
It's okay, Leonard, take your time.
You guys can read it too.
I know. Did you guys know that you had to come to GBM knowing the second reading calendar bills?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's just me, it's just me.
Yeah.
They were reading else. Point of information to the bill sponsor. Is there a rain date for Earth Fest?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Is there a rain date for Earth Fest? Like in case, because last time, I don't know, is it like a rain or shine type event where even if it gets canceled? Rain or shine, okay. And then also, is there just gonna be one post about it? Or?
This is about the Student Sustainability Summit?
Sorry?
This is about the Student Sustainability Summit?
Yeah.
And you're asking about Earth Fest?
No, sorry, that was one question.
Wait, can you repeat the question?
He's confused because you asked about Earth Fest, but his bill isn't about Earth Fest.
Yeah, no. Like, sorry, my first question was about Earth Fest, this one's about the current bill that we're considering. Is there just gonna be one post about this, about the summit?
I've submitted comms requests, I think Lewis can confirm how many I did, I think it was
Like
it was one post 3 weeks out, and then a story.
Yeah, here, right here. We got 1, 2,
That's how you do
3,
it.
4,
Oh,
5.
see, I got so many.
Good job. Yes, you should.
Yeah, that actually is the correct way to do it for everyone. It's 5 separate comms requests. But anyway, sorry.
No, the reason why I was asking is because I wanna make sure like, it's a well advertised event, like people actually attend. I'm not asking like.
Yeah, so just to be clear, I think the way that I did it was one post 3 weeks out, a story, either a week or 2 weeks out, and a story the day before.
Thank you.
Yep.
And July, you ready for the main question?
Yes.
Alrighty, moving on to period voting, can I see all those in favor? Alrighty, all opposed? All abstaining? Awesome, with a vote of 19-0 to 1, this bill passes. Congratulations to the bill sponsor. Moving on, we have no tabled bills. Anyone here have any follow-up to any initiatives or bills or anything like that? Awesome, moving on to executive updates, starting with student body president.
Hi everybody. So again, working a little bit on UHC tabling outreach. If you haven't signed up for anything, I highly suggest that you do. Working on the price tag kind of harm reduction kits. I have a meeting with HPWS tomorrow about that. Headshot photo booth. So I have received confirmation that it's actually been shipped to the Career Center, so hopefully they're getting that tested and up in the next few weeks or so. I would love for them to roll it out before the end of the semester so that I could at least see it. But if not, that's perfectly fine too, so I'll keep you guys updated with that. Like Casey was talking about, we held the second annual accessibility audit yesterday, and it went really well. So I encourage any of you in the future to get involved with that or to work with that. Stamp mural, we actually selected a winner this past week, and the reveal is on Maryland Day, April 26th at 11 a.m. in the North Atrium of Stamp. We'll have free food. So I highly suggest that you come down, look at the art, hear a little bit from the artists themselves of like the art that they submitted and why they submitted it and how it relates to the theme of community, creativity, and connection. And then meetings, times previously, Patty today actually before this, Stamp to talk about the mural, and then it's not one of my meetings, actually it's an upcoming one, so let me move that really fast. But in upcoming meetings, we have meetings with ADA, ADS, the PSAC, which is the Patty's Student Advisory Council, SPEC, which is the student organization meeting that we have, that Graham skipped out on this week. I'm just messing with you.
It was canceled this past week.
Yeah. Whatever Graham said. Anyway, we'll have spec this week, so hopefully we'll have some updates for you guys at the end of, by the end of the legislative session for your omnibus and all that. We will have cab to cab, so for those of you who don't know what cab to cab is, it's our cabinet to the university's cabinet, and so when we kind of have that opportunity to talk to them, give them some last thoughts of our administration, what we've accomplished, ask them about a little bit about what they've accomplished, but it's mostly us presenting to them. So those are the presentations that we have planned. Kind of just an overview, the accessibility audit and the DOTS diversification of funding / micro mobility. Rec side, we'll talk a little bit about that, and then OER from academic affairs. I'll be talking to them about the graduate sustainability fee, the UHC fee, and the divestment referenda as well as student group funding, the spec kind of conclusions that we had so that they can kind of get a better feel for how we've been running student groups and talking to them about finance and all that good stuff. And then I'm also going to be asking whoever the incoming administration is if they have any presentation that they would like to be heard or that they would like to talk a little bit more about at Cab to Cab, but save for that we'll have about 15 to 20 minutes left just to talk with the admin about everything. So if you have any other questions or concerns that you'd like us to bring up at Cab to Cab, let me know. That's on April 16th, so 2 weeks from now just about. And we'll be practicing like our presentations and those kind of things. Other things, I just wanted to quickly say that I've heard from a number of committees of legislators not attending their committees to campaign for elections. I will report you to ethics myself if I see that happening. You owe it to your directors and to your constituencies to be in those committees. There is no excuse for that. You signed up for your elections or you signed up for your representationships in your constituencies before you signed up for elections. Please remember that you are currently in your seats and that your seats next year are not as important as this position that you hold currently. Other things, opening CAB meetings. So the whole month of April, we will be having open CAB meetings on Sunday. Yeah, I know they're on Sunday. Sundays at 3:30 p.m. This week they're on Zoom. I have talked to a number of directors about tapping folks who talk to them about if they're interested in holding a directorship, coming out to CAB to learn a little bit about what we do at CAB, how we do it, all that good stuff. So if you're interested in becoming a director, please talk to a cabinet member or to a director to let them know that you're interested in the position. Each director is only able to bring about 1 or 2 folks. You will not have speaking privileges. It's just an observation for you guys. You will just watch the meeting as we go and kind of get a feel for that. So if any of you are interested in that, again, please reach out to the respective director of the committee that you're interested in being a director for. That can be multiple directors, but if you only want to go once, hell, I'd only go once. So yeah, you probably will have to ask them also to send you the agenda before the meeting, but you'll be able to kind of just sit, feel, and you can ask questions at the end. I'll have some space for you guys to ask questions at the end. But during the meeting, it will be mostly just observations. But yeah, thank you.
Please, question.
Yeah.
A few clubs were telling me how like they are like paying people to take their headshots, and I was like, headshot photo booth, and they're like, when's that opening? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So is it open? Like when?
It's not open yet. They're still testing it and installing it, so they don't have an exact date yet of when they want to roll it out. They're still kind of working a little bit with the like the vendor themselves.
But like this school year?
I'm hoping so.
Okay.
That's the goal. So at least before the end of the year, I would like to at least have something out for students to try out. The goal is also to have them at like future career fairs.
Yeah.
It's kind of in like a transportable, portable like setting, so they should be able, like the University Career Center should be able to move it around. So they've said they'll host a lot next year too. So for those of you looking to get a free headshot next year, that will be up to you all. And then I think that's all that I have. Do you have any other questions?
No, that was it. Just
Perfect. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Next up is EVP.
Hi guys, I have quite a few things to get through for the first time this entire semester. First things first, Leonard and I are working on the SGA inauguration, woohoo! So, right now, every single one of you guys have your laptops. So you're gonna open my updates, and you're gonna do the first form. And you're gonna go ahead and vote regardless if you're going or not. I also just put it in the officer channel. Wait. Okay, it's loading, but it will be in the officer channel for everybody to do. Oh, I typed it twice. And so please do that like right now, super quick. All you do is pick an item for the menu. We're catering with good tidings. It's Thursday, April 24th, 6-8 p.m. Hopefully SGA, not SGA, ESJ. That's what we're looking for. But yeah, that would be super helpful if you guys could do that. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to submit that. Thank you for that.
So one question for me. It's two questions.
It's, okay, fine, it's 2 questions, the other part is literally edit, like, that's it, just engage. I think you should pick option number 3. It's the best one, just saying, being biased. Also looks really good.
Did that.
Pretty cost efficient too, unlike the 4th option, just saying.
Scroll up and see the description of each.
Okay, for majority, almost everyone done with it. Yes, thumbs up.
Oh my
Perfect.
gosh, this is like your last meal.
Anyone else?
Who's putting all this?
That's what
I agree.
Hey, this is good input, guys.
When I have my last meal.
Louis, you sound like you're on death row.
You can keep going.
Okay, next order of business, merch. I only have 25 responses. There are 70 people in the officers training. Every single one of you should be doing it, even if you're getting merch or not. People put no. I'm okay with that. I just want to see if you guys are interested in like which design you want to do. Also links. So I will give you guys a couple of seconds to vote on that as well. If you have any like comments about that, please let us know. Pragya did an awesome job with this, so shout out to her. I'll give you a couple of seconds again.
Yeah, does this have like Sky?
I think you should vote for the dark gray ones.
Too late.
I like those.
Which dark gray one?
Like gray, no, like
The flag?
Either. I just like dark gray.
the flag. The dark.
Tell me, like, do you have a dark gray Kunis? Like,
I don't want one.
Now. I have a light gray one.
Thank you.
Alright, I'll vote for all of them.
Okay, we good? We good? Yeah, oh wait, I'll let you guys keep doing it. I'll keep talking. The rest of it is pretty like general stuff. Tomorrow we have a meeting with the counseling center and UMPD about the suicide reporting that Rune was talking about. We got a lot of people coming, which is really awesome. However, because of the amount of people that are coming, not everybody is going to be able to talk because we have a lot of things to talk about. If you look at the agenda, it's still kind of being made. Therefore, the delegated speakers are Varun and Eliza because they know the most about it and they're going to be talking the most about it. There's a presentation he made, I think that's hyperlinked in there as well. So please, you can have questions at the end, but like let's try not to interrupt too much just because his time is so valuable and it took us literally 4 months to like find the time and come join us, which is still really nice of him. But yeah, if you have any questions, if you would like to be there and observe like the rest of the meeting, like let me know. I can add you to the Google Calendar. I have a Title IX meeting tomorrow as well. That's about the required training for undergraduate TAs. Pretty cool. I put the agenda. Kind of still working on it, but if you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to discuss it with them. And then I have a bunch of other stuff that's kind of been ongoing. Also, really, really small update. I know Paisley isn't here, but I finally changed the end of the website so it says UMPD SAC and not called the Indianapolis Bus. Sorry about that, but now we're good. But yeah, any questions? Anything? Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, also, if you didn't do the form, I will be adding you in the channel because I'm going to make sure all of you do it. I have time for that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh no.
Oh, we do wrong time left. You can have a minute. Go to yourself. Oh, do you want this?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, are there any other comments for the go to the council? Okay. All right. I have a few things. So first and foremost, just wanted to echo Reese's statement, Reese's sentiment about continuing to do the good work for the students. I understand elections are going on. That does take up a lot of our time, a lot of the people's time that are running. And after that, we're kind of in this lame duck period, if you will, waiting for the next administration. But that doesn't mean that we can't continue working on our initiatives, continuing to hold office hours, continuing to come to committees. Those are just the basic responsibilities. If you ever need to be excused from your committee or anything like that, please reach out to your directors. They make the time to come to the committee, so please keep doing that. With regards to myself, please keep submitting your office hours. We have, I think, 2 more weeks left, and then it's over. So, almost done with that. The monthly outreach event for March is due this Friday. So if you have not done one, there are still slots on the University Health Center referendum fee for the tabling for that. So please sign up if you haven't done that already. Again, that is something that does not have an extension on it, so please make sure you guys do that. The lobbying requirement as well, that's due next Friday, so that's due on the 11th. Please make sure that you guys do that as well. It can be anything from submitting tests. I know that MGA is kind of done after next week, but city council and county council stuff is ongoing, as well as the federal government. So if you haven't fulfilled that requirement, please make sure you do so. If you have any questions about that as well, please reach out to leadership. All right, and the final thing. Oh, sorry, you have a question. Go ahead.
No, it's not a question. It's just, I was thinking you were done.
You thought you were done.
Yeah, you can keep going. Sorry about that.
Last thing, I'm almost done. So in 2 weeks, we're going to be transitioning to a new administration, which means that it is time for everyone's favorite thing, transition documents. Let's go. So basically, we're going to be doing them, and they're going to be due on the 20th, which is the Sunday of the week of when we have our last GBM and we have inauguration. So I just want to kind of give a quick overview of what this document looks like, because it is a little intimidating, but hopefully it won't be. The point of a transition document is to literally guide the next person that's going to be in your seat on how you did the job, what things you accomplished, who you talked to, any advice you want to give them, how you did your project, how you approach constituency outreach. Because for someone who's never been in SGA, these are really intimidating things. I'm sure that when you guys were doing your first office hours this year, it was really difficult. It's not easy to come up to someone or sit in a certain place and wait for people to come to you. But guess what? You guys have been in your positions for years. You have a lot of good institutional knowledge on like how you approached it, who'd you reach out to, like whether if you were like a residential rep, for example, you reached out to like your community director or your resident director. If you were an academic rep, you probably reached out to people in your college, like the advising office. You guys have a lot of really good knowledge, and it really sucked that that just kind of went down the drain and your successor had to do everything for the first time. So it's really important that you guys provide as much information as possible. I'm not asking for you guys to have completed projects. It's actually awesome when your project is like kind of midway from being done. That's a great thing for your successor to continue. But if they don't have like necessary steps or they don't have the resources to do that, they're really going to fall short. So it's really important that. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about the lobbying requirement. The MGA, I'm guessing it's too late to submit something for them, so then what else can we do?
There's the city council and there's the county council, and there's also the federal government.
Just write a letter?
You can write a letter to your,
It has to be lobbying. Well, the problem is that the lobbying needs to be something that was already on our agenda that we passed in the previous bill. So ideally, the reason we use MGA is because it's so accessible. Not really great to leave it until this last minute, because to be honest, that's something you're probably gonna have to talk to Mahi about, the gov director, about how to get that requirements. I personally don't know how to do lobbying at the federal level, but I would say reach out to her.
Yeah. But yeah, so for the transition document, it's not too long. It's like a 2-page thing, but as much information as you can give towards it really help the person. I also wanted to mention, even if you win the same seat that you're currently in, that does not excuse you from the transition document, because you still need to show proof that you've been doing something. Just like we had for the performance reviews in the fall, even if you weren't coming back in the spring, it's still really important that you have that like progress check with you to make sure that you've been working towards all your stuff. So any questions about the transition document? No, if you were confirmed like in the spring semester, it's like strongly recommended. I understand that like you probably haven't been here for too long, so it's optional. Like if you want to, you can, but not required. But yeah, this is due again April 20th. I know that seems like a long time away, but those weeks are gonna fly by, especially with the other things we have going on. So please keep an eye on that. I am going to be posting it on Elms right now. So. Awesome. Thank you.
Diego, did you have something?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, I was doing something else. What was I gonna say?
Do you want me to circle back?
I got it now.
Oh,
So, I kind of spoke with you briefly before the session started, this one, about the fact that the elections commission hasn't released any email about the elections to everyone in the undergraduate student body. And I sent them an email, they responded saying that they understand that it's a bit of an issue, but, hold on, let me just pull it up.
Wait, did you email EC or was it? Oh, okay.
And, I'm not sure who responded, but, Zora, she said that, we're actively working with SGA leadership to make this happen. And this is that in the meantime, the commission has been leveraging other methods to promote the election, including increased social media engagement, in-person class visits, and outreach to schools to display the election flyer on TV screens. And that they're still working on sending an email, and they'll most likely, put it out tomorrow on the final day of elections.
Nice.
I will say I was not notified. If, about like in terms of like them collaborating with SG leadership on that, I haven't been in the loop. I don't know if Reese, you have been.
She sent me like the version of the email that she wanted to send to Patty, but I just texted Patty right now to ask her if it would be possible to do a final call for elections tomorrow in her newsletter. So there should at least be one, hopefully one final email tomorrow if they do. I don't know what time frame they do their newsletters on, or at least a message, or at least an email to everyone. So I'll double check that.
I bring that up because usually if I remember from last year's election that they were sending emails quite regularly to the entire student body that wasn't through it was straight from was it?
Or it was like the office of VP
Yes.
Student Affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like via her office that sent out the email last year, I think, on the first day at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, there was one that went out from, because we have the referendum on the student activity suite, so you might have seen the one that went out about that from COFA. It wasn't specifically about that, but it was like, please vote in the SGA elections. I can ask Pranav to do one for the student groups too, to just let them know.
Yeah, I was just kind of bringing this up because I do feel that that's a pretty large way that the student body is made aware of the elections is through their email rather than, as we're all aware, the SGA does generally have issues being in connection with the student body, which is why I brought that up. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thank you for emailing her and giving us an update on that too.
No problem.
My quick updates are that the bill submission deadline is this Sunday, so you all were aware of that, right? So, okay, awesome. I'm gonna make sure it's not a surprise, because I sent it at some point after spring break, I think. But yeah, deadline is Sunday. I know it's the last week, so if you really wanted to get your bill checked by a director and like a committee on Monday, I'm willing to be flexible about that, just because it is the last week and I wanna make sure that we're being as productive as possible. Also, going off of Leonard and Reese, again, GBM today, needing to like ask people to come here to make quorum is not okay. We literally have 3 weeks left. Getting here before 6 is a requirement of your role. So I really ask that you spread this word as well to your fellow legislators, not to stroll in at 6:05, because that makes it really hard for ledge leadership to start on time. And especially when we have guest speakers, it makes it really difficult. So please just know, 3 weeks left, give it your all. You wanna make sure you look back at this role and know that you put all the effort you could into it. So yeah, that's all from me though. I think Deborah has something.
Hi everyone. So basically, like you all should know, Omnibus is gonna be like a first reading calendar next GBM. So I'd just like to ask everyone to come to CBL this Tuesday. This is like basically we have a list of amendments. I feel like the agendas I put are like very self-intuitive. Like if you read it, you will get it. But like if you do not come to CBL this Tuesday, unfortunately, you cannot vote in CBL on the 15th, like the day before the second reading. Just because I want people to vote when they're very knowledgeable about what they're voting about. I don't want people to just come to CBL one day, not get the thoughts, the rationale behind the amendments, because like everyone is taking their time to suggest this amendment. Shout out to Graham, shout out to Chris, they're always there, and like a lot of people put in a lot of efforts in their amendments, so I want us to ensure that we know the thoughts behind the thought process behind this amendment, and basically please come so that omnibus is not like painfully long. I don't want to be here for like 6 hours. I'm sure you guys don't want to be here too that long, so yeah, basically just come to CBL for like the next 2 Tuesdays, and yeah, thank you. That's it.
I'll add can I add really quick?
Yeah.
Especially if you are going to be here next year, it is extremely important for you to understand what rules you are walking into next year. But the other thing I'll add is that I'm also working with a number of the executive members to put forward final amendments for the discretionary guidelines, possibly for election rules, for ethics and things like that. So I'm working with them to do it as fast as possible. We're also kind of coming off the tail end of the last students group's budget cycle and doing some other stuff to kind of work with SORT to get those final things. So I ask for your patience, and I know it's not an intentional diversion of your attention or like trying to not have transparency with it. It is just to make sure that you all have the most information when I put up those amendments, and I'm not just making half-assed amendments to you all. So just wanted to let you know that. And if you do have any questions or concerns about that beforehand, you can also talk.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, so, can anyone submit a constitutional amendment, or do you have to go to CDL to do that?
Technically you can submit them on the floor, and you can even, although I don't highly recommend doing it, if something fails in CBL, you can also again submit it on the floor.
Don't do that.
Yeah, just letting you know your options, but, you can do that. The way that we run it though will be pretty much up to the speaker in terms of how we choose to do committee of the whole and how we choose to do other stuff, so that might also be a conversation for.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What time is CBO?
It's on Tuesdays at 4 p.m.
4?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if anyone's like confused on what we're talking about, at the end of the at the end of the school year, or at least this year, because the state omnibus was called, we're allowed to basically amend our governing documents, which is like constitutional, election rules, bylaws, ethics, standing rules of order, and that's all. And CBL is the committee in which the amendments will go through for approval, and so that's why and CBL is basically the committee that kind of sponsors the legislation as well, so that's why we're like, go to CBL, because it makes it so much easier when the amendments hit the floor, because everyone who's at CBL is usually in consensus. And then kind of like the way, I plan on running is if there's only like 2 people arguing for something, at that point, we're probably gonna move on, just because we wanna make it as efficient as possible, and those arguments also should be in CBL. And you have the ability to talk to any of your fellow legislators outside of these committees as well, just to see where everyone's at. But yes, I don't have any questions about Omnibus. Okay, cool. Did you wanna do Ralph time?
Sure. You're paid and you can use my clicker.
Oh.
I'll put the battery in and then you can use it.
Oh, that is not.
Lewis made that.
Oh, Lewis changed my thing. Oh no. Okay. I liked the edit. Okay,
Thanks.
so Ralph time with me. So the first thing that Ralph did whenever she got home was watch RuPaul's Drag Race, and she was really enjoying it. She was very into it. Then Ralph ate some Qdoba. Ralph ate a lot. Never mind. Then Ralph answered a lot of phone calls about the budget, and people were really mad about the budget, and Ralph was getting kind of annoyed about all the phone calls, but she persisted. Then Ralph celebrated because a bill that I worked on passed in the Senate unanimously, which was so awesome for Ralph. And then Ralph was a delegate, I guess, in Delegate Emily Shetty's seat, just hanging out. And then I got my citation thing, and Ralph was there with me. Then Ralph wanted a cookie, so Ralph got a cookie. And then, oh my gosh, Ralph met the governor, what? That's crazy. I cannot believe Ralph met Wes Moore. Oh my gosh, I didn't even get to meet him. And then we rode the bus, oh my gosh, Ralph enjoying the bus. And then some SGA people, we have Claire, Julie, Linnell, and Graham, all this lovely SGA peopleness. Then it was Friday, and Ralph was going crazy on Friday. And you can see Cardi B in the background too. And then it was Sunday, and Ralph needed to relax after her long Friday, or this was Saturday, Ralph needed to relax after her long Friday. So my lovely roommate Natalie, I guess, took a shower and then showed Ralph some love. In the meantime, they rested together. Then Ralph ate again some noodles and company. Oh my gosh, Ralph, chill. Buffalo mac and cheese. Then Claire, Ralph was strapped in like a seatbelt into Claire's belt. And then, oh my gosh, Ralph is in DC at a restaurant, what? That's crazy. And then Amina with Ralph. Chelsea saw Ralph, but
I refused a photo.
she declined. And then Ralph ate again some kava, oh my gosh. And then just chilling in the office. And then Ralph was hanging out with the rocks that my roommate was painting that she's going to put around campus for positive vibes. If you guys see them, you'll know that Ralph was with them. And then Ralph was so exhausted from her long week that she called it a rest. And that's it. Me.
Okay, in light of my not being here, I will be delivering Ralph to her next person who has not had Ralph at all.
Give it to Deborah.
Give it to Siley? Wait, Cyrus, you haven't had Ralph either. Okay, but yeah, Siley.
Oh my god, actually. Wait, do you think I can throw it all the way?
No.
Get the owl.
We are so excited to see what you are up to this week. Are you done? Okay.
Motion adjourned.
Awesome.